Midea recalls about 1.7 million air conditioners due to mold. Now, this is a very interesting one to me because I have been long saying that we need to have drain holes in the air conditioners to let the water run out, because water standing in the air conditioner is a recipe for disaster. I don't know why this is the case, but the whole concept of having a drain hole in the air conditioner versus not having a drain hole in the air conditioner, using a modern air conditioner versus a vintage air conditioner, and the efficiency of an air conditioner, etc., is a very highly debated topic. And some people get very angry about suggesting to add a drain hole into the units and so forth. And so I suspect we're going to see a lot of commentary in the box, which is people responding unintelligently to this conversation. I hope that doesn't happen, but it probably will. So if you're a non-regular viewer to this channel and you see that in the box, that's that. I don't get it. I have no idea why it's like that, but that's the way it is. So let's take a look at this recall. This just came out recently. I don't buy a lot of modern products because I don't trust them, but I do like to look through these the recall website every couple weeks just to see what comes up, in the off chance I might own something on there. So this was issued June 5. This is being taped on June 17, so this is very fresh still. And this says 1.7 million in addition to, so I guess it's probably about 1.8 million, including the approximately 45,900 sold in the Canada. So we have contact information here. I just think this is kind of funny. The official Midea website is Midea4028 at Midea.com, as opposed to something like support or customer service at Midea.com. It's Midea4028. Okay, that doesn't really instill a lot of confidence in the product. Okay, in conjunction with the Canadian flag, it says, this recall involves U and U Plus window air conditioners made by Midea, which is an OEM, and sold in brand names, it should say sold under brand names, including Midea, Comfort Air, Danby, Frigidaire, Insignia, Keystone, LBG Products, Mr. Cool, Mrs. Warm, Perfect Air, and Sea Breeze. And it says there was an 8,000, 10,000, and 12,000 BTU models. Now this is oddly specific. Only these model numbers are allegedly affected. Now I don't understand this. And I don't understand why this recall doesn't apply to like every single air conditioner made in the last 40 years. I'll get into why in a minute. Well, the remedy for this, according to this article, is it says contact Midea for a free repair or a full or prorated refund, which is in relation to the date of manufacture. Now, allegedly, they're going to pay to ship the unit back to Midea with a prepaid shipping label, so Midea is going to pay to send it back, and that'll give you a refund. Or you can cut the power cord off and send a picture to receive a refund. Or you can receive a repair kit that you can install yourself with a new drain plug and bubble level. So I'm guessing that the bubble level is to level the unit in the window so that the tilt is correct. Or Midea will arrange to have a technician go out to install the drain plug. That's surprising to me, and I'm very curious to know what the level of customer satisfaction is with that, because and to send a technician out to 1.7 million households is going to be astronomical in cost, and I can't imagine. The same thing with shipping it back. I can't imagine that it would be cost effective as opposed to just discarding the units. Not that I would be in favor of that. I think that's ridiculous, but neither here nor there. So the firm, I don't know what firm it's talking about. I guess, is it talking about the CPSC? is aware of at least 152 reports of mold in the air conditioners, including 17 reports of consumers experiencing symptoms such as respiratory infections, allergic reactions, coughing, sneezing, and or sore throats from mold exposure. And here's the stores it was sold at. Sold from the summer of 2020 through currently. And they were made in China and Thailand. So, here's an air conditioner. This is not the one that's recalled. This is just a newer one that I was able to easily pull out of my storage. So we're going to take a look at this air conditioner. I'm going to show you what the problem is and how to fix it. And this will apply to any air conditioner. My background or credibility: licensed technician, serviced hundreds of air conditioners, restored equipment from 1960s and prior, done a lot of work on air conditioners over the years. I know how they work. I know how they get dirty. I've seen tons of them filthy from regular use cases. I've got it pretty well figured out. And this is the part that people are going to start debating. So a lot of newer units, and actually this isn't really a newer practice. This has been going on for a couple decades now. The manufacturers do different things to try to get every iota of efficiency possible out of these air conditioners. These air conditioners, the window form factor units, are really too small in terms of refrigeration theory to work very efficiently. And so one of the things that's done, very common practice, is to add what's called a slinger ring to the condenser fan. The condenser is the rear coil that sits outside. It exchanges the heat from inside the house. And attached to the condenser fan, you can see it down there at the bottom, is a wheel. It's like a ring around the outside of the blades. There, now it's in focus. And that ring, of course, it turns with the fan. And that ring is almost down at the bottom of the pan. And if you notice inside the pan here, hopefully you can see it on the video. If you look right there, you can see the pan goes down about maybe half an inch or so. And that's where that slinger ring sits, down in that pan. That will fill with water after an hour of operation, half an hour of operation, depending on how humid your environment is. That'll fill with water that the machine pulls out of the room. And as the unit runs, the slinger ring picks up that water and splashes it onto the warm condenser coil. Now the condenser is air cooled, that's what the fan is for. It pushes the outdoor air through the condenser coil and cools it down. But the manufacturer says, well, let's put water on a coil so it cools a little bit more, and then we can get a little more efficiency out of the machine. Now this particular machine, and I would say almost every single air conditioner made in the last 30 to 40 years, has a very similar, or rather an identical design concept with similar executions of it. Now when you turn the machine off, the water's just sitting in there, pools in the back. And you have half inch, quarter inch, 1 inch of water just sitting in the back of the unit. A lot of problems with this design. First problem is rust. You put metal inside water, it rusts. Within a couple years, a coil on a machine without a drain hole totally rotted out in the bottom. I see it all the time. The designs like this without the drain hole ruins the machine in just a couple seasons. If you drill the drain hole in the bottom of the unit, let the water out, the machines last so much longer. Decades longer. It's incredible. The second problem is filth on the coil. When you have the unit, outside, for instance, in the springtime, you get all the pollen in the air. If you have dry air blowing through a dry coil, it's going to get dusty, but the coil is not going to cause contaminants to stick to it. Whereas if you blow air through a wet coil, the wet coil is going to cause the moisture is going to cause stuff to stick to it. And so when you're slinging the water up on the coil all the time, the coil gets dirty very, very quickly. And then it doesn't work good because now the coil can't exchange the air and it's not exchanging the heat. Not only does it not work good, but now you have this dirt on the coil which holds moisture, more moisture held up against the coil, more rust, more rot, unit's going to break quicker. The other problem this causes is the mold. Water sitting in enclosed in the front dark components creates mold. There is no good reason to have the water inside the unit. Whatever small amount of efficiency, even if it was a big amount of efficiency gained from having the water in there, is simply not worth it. It's not worth the rust, it's not worth the accumulation of dirt on the coil, and it's certainly not worth the mold. In the front of the machine we have an evaporator coil. This coil gets cold, the inside air draws through this coil, and since the coil is cold, water condenses on the coil. Water drips down into here and then it goes out the back. Now this air conditioner, I've had this for only a couple years, and I have a drain hole in this, and you can see there's no rust in the back. There's only a little bit of rust forming down there, and that's it. If there was no drain hole and this was just constantly full of water, this whole thing would be all rotted out. If you're curious to see what that looks like, take a look back on this channel, some of the videos of restoring older air conditioners. You'll see all the rust. It's all from having the water sloshing around in there all the time. Just as a quick side note, this doesn't have to do with the recall, but it has to do with nonsense, manufacturing, branding nonsense. This air conditioner has a dehumidification mode. A lot of them do that nowadays, and you'll even see product advertisements that say built-in dehumidifier. Oh, that's bogus. It's totally bogus. There's no difference between the cool mode and the dehumidifier mode. It works exactly the same. The machine does the same thing. Every air conditioner is intrinsically dehumidifying the air because the coil gets cold, the moisture sticks to the coil, and then it runs down and drips out of the machine. That's the dehumidification aspect of an air conditioner. Every air conditioner does that. Don't buy an air conditioner because it says it dehumidifies as well. The one that doesn't say it dehumidifies also is the dehumidifier. It's the same thing. There's no difference in the machine's operation between the two modes. There's no such thing as a built-in dehumidifier in an air conditioner. Dehumidification is just a byproduct of the air conditioner cooling the air. That's bogus advertising. Alright, with that out of the way, how do we solve this problem? I'll take a look at the back of the unit here, or actually the bottom of the unit rather. And I'll just show you another shot of the inside here just to confirm that there is no rust. I've used this for I think 2 years now. When was this made? 2021. I bought it in 2023, I think. Used it for 2 seasons, and look at that. A little bit of dirt. I gotta clean it out before it goes in this year. But there is no rust. If you take a look inside the machine with no drain hole, this will be all rotted out within the first 2 or 3 years. And probably moldy in the front too. Actually, before we go to the back, to check for mold, the easiest way to do it is to open up the coil here and get a ticker towel and just gently run a damp towel over the coil, very, very gently, and you'll see it'll probably turn black with mold. You also will often find mold dwelling inside the register, on the register itself, on the fan. This one you're able to see the fan pretty easily. A lot of them you can't really see the fan due to the way it's designed, but this one you can see the fan is totally clean. So what I do to fix this mold problem, this is applicable to these Midea U units, it's applicable to every unit. Turn the thing over, get out your drill bit, and drill some holes. On this particular unit I put 2 holes. This is where the condensation runs out from the front, so I drilled a big hole right here, and I should have painted this because now it's starting to rust around where the moisture is. See, if I hadn't drilled this hole, the entire unit would look like this, you know, all on the inside there. But this is where the condensation runs into this pan, so I cut this hole out so that now when the condensation runs down here, it just comes out as opposed to sitting inside the machine. So now the machine is never full of water. And I drilled a second hole at the lowest point of the unit because when it rained, it would still get water in there because this one has a hole in the top, a vent in the top. And so when it would rain, some water would get in here and then it would start slinging around and just sitting in there. So I drilled that hole. So drill some holes, and that solves your problem because now the water is going to drain out. The other thing you have to be sure of is that it's tilted properly, and this is where that little bubble level thing is going to come into play. But you can just use a regular level. When it sits in your window, make sure it tilts just a hair backwards. See, this is tilting a little bit forward. I would say like that's probably good right there. You don't want to go too much. Just enough so that the water does not sit in the front, because if it's tilted like this and your bubble's on the right side, the water's going to pool up here. The level's got to come up before it's going to drain to the back. So you need to make sure that it's tilted such that the water is going to run to the back of the machine. You don't need a lot of tilt, just a little bit to make that work. So between a good tilt and a good drain hole, that's going to alleviate most of your problems. There's one other thing you can do, and that's a user situation. When you're done using the machine, a lot of people just shut it off and be done with it. When you're done using the machine, what you want to do is switch it to fan only. Turn the compressor off and switch it to fan only, because what happens is when this is running, the coil is cold and it becomes full of water. If you look at the coil while it's running, especially on a humid day, you'll see water dripping down and the coil will just be soaking wet. So when you're done using the machine, turn it off. I like to turn it off for, you know, half a minute, or say 30 seconds, because when the fan stops pulling the air through here, a lot of the water is going to drip out right away. Once the bulk of the water has dripped out for 20-30 seconds, turn the machine back on, but put it to fan only. Don't run the compressor, so that the temperature of the coil doesn't change. It'll just be ambient temperature, and the airflow of the fan will dry the coil. It takes some time, maybe it takes a half an hour, but it'll dry out the coil, it'll prevent a lot of rust, and it'll help prevent the mold. Because when you turn the machine off without running the fan first, you just turn it off, the coil is soaking wet. And if you got this filter on here, I've taken this daggone filter on off 100 times today. You've got the filter in place here, which I've forgot how to put on. Okay, you got your filter here. That's not on right. And this, now inside here is damp. It's damp and cool. That's the perfect environment for mold to grow. So you're going to get mold growing on the coil, mold growing on the fan. And I think one of the reasons why the Midea unit is even worse is because if you look at this picture here, you'll notice that the register has a flap on it. See, there it is, open. So when you turn the machine off, this flap closes, and now all of a sudden it traps in all that moisture and it blocks out all the light, and you have really humid air just sitting inside the machine, festering mold, and it's not good. So you got to clean the machine out, right? And this, again, this is not just these U units. This is any regular old air conditioner will get moldy over time because you have something that gets wet. And with the right contaminants going in the front, dust and dirt in the house, etc., you get mold. That's just how it works. You have to clean air conditioners routinely. That's normal. But if you start with a clean unit, drill the drain hole, make sure the tilt is correct in the window, and you run the fan after you turn it off for a little while, you should not get much mold at all on any machine, including these U units. Another piece of equipment that's very prone to getting moldy are these mini splits. These are becoming very popular now. These mini split units get very moldy inside. If you have one, check it. It's probably full of mold. And the reasoning is I think maybe has to do with that flap that closes on the bottom. Again, it closes the coil and the fan off to the outside air in the room, and so then you trap all that humidity in a dark area and it just gets moldy. So I think that's what's going on here, is and that might be why this particular unit got recalled, because of that closing flap. But I really don't understand why, like, every air conditioner with this design is not recalled, because it's a stupid design. You know, all to try to get the little Energy Star logo on the unit, but it's being done in the trade-off of wrecking the machine with the rust and the health hazard of the mold. So, not good. Clean your air conditioners and drill a drain hole.